everyone. Today we'll be solving chapter 16 of Human Biology, Sylvia S.Mader. This is the 14th edition, and we'll be solving the assess and the end of the chapter. So let's start. The first question is the labeling. Identify each of the endocrine organs in the figure. So A, this is the hypothalamus, and B, this is the pituitary gland, but when you look closely you can see that there's different shades, so they want you to be more specific. So from this shape and from its big size, this is the anterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland, it's more smaller in size. So C, this is the thyroid gland. D, adrenal gland. Where's E? Yeah, so E, we already labeled the thyroid gland. Again, they're doing a close-up, they wanted to be more specific. See the dark colored glands, so these are the parathyroid glands. Coming F, this is the thymus. It's where your T cells, T lymphocytes, learn how to distinguish between self and non-self. G, pancreas. H, the testes. I, the ovaries. Question number 2. Peptide hormones, aka hormones made from proteins, interact with what structure on the surface of the cell? So you have a hormone, and this hormone is made of proteins, peptides. How is it going to enter the cell? Remember, the cell, we said that its outer layer is a plasma membrane, and this plasma membrane is made of phospholipids. So a protein cannot enter unless it can interact with a receptor proteins which are on the surface of the plasma membrane, and this receptor protein, the hormone, will bind with the receptor protein, and this will cause a change inside the cell. The one that is like carrying this change is called the secondary messenger, because your primary messenger is your hormone. Your secondary messenger is like camp. It's the one that tells the cell, oh, we have to do this change. So it first has to interact with receptor proteins on the surface of the plasma membrane or the cell surface membrane. Question number 3 is steroid hormone. Steroid, it's what? It's any hormone that is originated from cholesterol, and we know that cholesterol, it's a lipid. So requires the use of secondary messengers to enter a cell? No, because steroid hormones, in the plasma membrane we have phospholipid and we even have cholesterol molecules, so it can enter the cell easily, steroid hormones, so they don't need a secondary messenger. Question number 4. Which of the following acts as a link between the nervous system and the endocrine system? Easiest answer, the hypothalamus. It's the one that receives, for example, an impulse, a nerve impulse, electrical impulse, and then it can reply with a hormone. So that's why we call it the link between these two systems. Growth hormone is released by what endocrine gland? So most of the hormones that we'll encounter are released by the anterior pituitary gland, on which we call it the master gland, except the ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin, they're released by the hypothalamus. But the growth hormone, prolactin, and all of these FSH and LH, all released by the anterior pituitary gland. The posterior one is for the storage. Okay. Which of the following hormones is regulated by positive feedback? So a little recap on what is positive feedback. For example, you have something that increases inside your body. Normally, your body will try to go against this increase, so it will normally go in a decrease. For example, your blood sugar, if it's increased, our body will be like, we need to decrease it, and this we call it negative feedback. But positive feedback, if something is increasing, the stimuli is increasing, then our body will also cause it to increase more. And this, to make it like, to give an example, during birth, okay, during the birth, the contractions, as long as they're increasing, your body will cause the birth canal to widen more. So both things are increasing. Which of the following hormones is regulated by positive feedback? Thyroid, no. Gonadotrophic hormones, no. Oxytocin, yes. Why? Because during childbirth, it is the hormone that is released to widen the birth canal. As contractions increase, this will widen the birth canal, and this is the work of oxytocin. Thyroid hormones directly regulate what aspect of human physiology? Circadian rhythm, melatonin, stress response, cortisol, sex hormone production. This is FSH and LH. Metabolic rate, yes, because it depending on, sometimes it can tell the cells to take in more nutrients. Okay, so it does has a metabolic rate. Which of the following hormones increase blood calcium levels? So the calcium levels, again, they're controlled by hormones released by the thyroid, particularly, as you can see it in the name, calcitonin and parathyroid hormones. So calcitonin, it decreases blood calcium levels, and parathyroid hormone is the one that increases it. So option B. Which of the following hormones is not produced by the adrenal cortex? So we have the adrenal cortex and we have the adrenal medulla. For me, a really easy way to remember it is that the ephrin, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, the ephrin family, they're produced by the adrenal medulla. The other families, especially the coids, they're produced by the adrenal cortex. Hopefully that helps in memorizing. So all of these coids, adrenal cortex, the efferent family, adrenal medulla. Which of the following is not correct regarding aldosterone? So what is aldosterone? Remember it from our kidney chapter. Aldosterone along with renin are hormones secreted when your blood pressure drops. They tell your kidney to reabsorb more sodium and more ions to increase the blood pressure. So it's produced by adrenal cortex, yes. It has another name, I think so, that also ends in coids. I think so. It is inhibited by the action of epinephrine. So their interactions, I'm not sure about it. Let's read the other options. It is released by renin from the kidneys. Just now I said it. It causes the kidney to reabsorb sodium ions to increase the blood pressure. Correct. I don't think these hormones clash. Yeah, I don't think so. Androgens, which is testosterone. Estradiol is again a form of estrogen, are produced in small quantities by the adrenal cortex. I was surprised when I learned about that, but it just makes you in awe about the wonders of our bodies. I just thought these testosterone and estrogen are just released by the ovaries and the testes, but turns out the adrenal cortex also releases them. In fact, I think estrogen is released by the adrenal cortex. I'm not sure if it's released by the ovaries. Let's do question number 12. So I'll have to scroll down. Which of the following correctly describes the hormone insulin? Arguably one of them. I think it's the most known, unfortunately, due to the high number of cases of diabetes. So we know that it decreases, it lowers blood glucose level. We know that it's a protein hormone. That's why the storage is very sensitive. We always say put it at about 4 degrees Celsius, like in a cold storage, because at like room temperatures it's going to denature, and that's how it's made of proteins. It increases glucose uptake by liver muscle cells. Yes, to remove the glucose from your body, it does the liver to store it as glycogen. It is produced by B cells in the pancreas. So in the pancreas we have two types of cells, beta and alpha. Beta, insulin, and alpha releases glycogen. Not glycogen, sorry, it's glucagon, the hormone. So always are correct. The hormone antagonistic to insulin is, so insulin decreases blood glucose levels. What is a hormone that increases blood glucose levels? I just mentioned it. This glucagon. When, for example, you haven't eaten in a while, your liver will convert the glycogen. The glucagon will convert the glycogen into glucose. 14. The disease that is believed to be caused by autoimmune response that destroys the pancreatic islets is called autoimmune. Means that your own body destroyed it, and unfortunately this is the case of type 1 diabetes, where the immune cells attack the pancreas. The difference between type 1 and type 2 is that type 1, as I said, it's out of your control. Type 2, your diet, basically it has a high intake of glucose than your body is able to handle, especially when you get older, like above 30s, above 40s. Your pancreas cannot release as much insulin, and if your intake of glucose is so much of sugary foods, you're gonna get type 2 diabetes. It can be managed with diet, I believe, but type 1, it's an autoimmune disease. The hormone produced by the pineal gland to regulate the circadian rhythm is, nice to meet you, pineal gland. Okay, so I know from the word circadian rhythm it will be melatonin, which is aka the sleep hormone. So it's produced by the pineal gland. Oh look, I want to know where is this gland located. I think it's the brain, but I will check that. Question number 16. This hormone is involved with providing a feeling of fullness after a meal and does have a role in weight regulation. Leptin, it's the one that allows your body to absorb fats. Question number 17. The nervous system is responsible for responses to the dash environment. So think about it. Your nervous system, it's the external environment, while the endocrine system responds to the internal environment. Which of the following will not be a response of the endocrine system? So I'm looking for a response that is not controlled by hormones. Release of ADH, this is a hormone, so it's endocrine. Use of cortisol, again another hormone. Movement of your fingers away from hot surface, so this is a reflex action. Okay, and it just what can I say, it makes answer 17 even more correct, because movement of your fingers, it's an external environment, and the other options are again all things happening inside your body. So it is C. That was the last question. Hope you guys benefited and understood. Hope I clarified some things, and thanks for watching. And as always, if you have a question, drop it in the comments.